Just a moment more, then we'll get started. I just let you know this is really meant to be pretty free form. Um, by all means, if I'm doing something that you've got questions about, or you know of a better way to do something, or you want me to try something different, just say. We don't have to follow a particular script. I kind of went through uh, myself building this earlier this morning, and I'm not wedded to it. We can go wherever it takes us. And there's Jeff. Cool. I think we'll get going. Um, we're still picking up people, I guess. Um, so anyway, welcome to the main GIS user group, QGIS Special Interest Group, or SIG. If you haven't been on this before, um, it's really just meant to focus in on QGIS, but not really to the exclusion of anything else. I mean, QGIS isn't, necessarily the only thing you might want to use. It's just that there's a lot of interest out there in this as an alternative, and there's a lot being done with it. And so we're just kind of responding to that need, and the special interest group is meant to be a place where we can exchange ideas and teach each other, and if somebody has a particular problem trying to get something done the way they'd like to do it, or need to know some possible ways to do things, this is the place to do it. Uh, and just a reminder, we do have a Flarum discussion board um, out there that you can also post things. And we've posted a few things already. I posted a couple discussions or sort of, well, the discussions about some Python scripts that I created. One of them, for example, makes parcel hooks, uh, very nice uniform parcel hooks. You just create a line from one parcel to the associated parcel. Um, when you're all done putting just those single lines in, you can run the script and it'll put the little barbs on them and make perfect parcel hooks. So that's one example. I've got some more ideas of things I'm going to post. Anyway, so check that out if you haven't already. Uh, for those of you who just jumped on, by all means, feel free to butt in. I don't want to dominate this thing. If you've got questions or ideas or want me to explain something in a different way, by all means. This is being recorded, so there will be the opportunity to go back and look at this, and you're always welcome to contact me any other time if you need some special assistance or want an explanation, or just want to talk about trains or dogs or kayaking or whatever. Uh, Always up for that. So with that
Mike?
said, I'm going to share my screen, and what we're going to do here is I'm going to build a map of boat launches uh, here in Maine. I Just to keep it a little bit more focused, I can do it Washington County, or if somebody has a particular county they'd like me to do, I can do any county. Doing the whole state, there's just so many boat launches. It's kind of, you can't see the forest for the trees. So a county or a few towns works a lot better for this demonstration. Anyway, I think it's a good way to introduce ways to manage symbology and create nice looking line styles or um, uh, polygon fills and such. So And if you have ideas of something else you'd like to see in it, by all means, just jump in. So with that, I'm gonna share my screen and we have QGIS already up here. I just gotta move the Zoom thing out of the way. Okay, and everybody can see that okay? I'm sure. So what I'm going to do first, I don't, I'm not assuming that you are all any kind of intermediate or expert users of QGIS. So bear with me if you know some of these things. I kind of need to get through them to get to where we can do the symbology. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to add some towns. Well, specifically all the towns for a county, and I'll do Washington County unless somebody really wants to see a different one. Really doesn't matter to me. So, if you didn't see, I clicked on this Add Layers button over here, and it on the left-hand side, it gives me a lot of possibilities. There's vector data. If I have a file or a file geodatabase or such, I can add them from here. I can add raster data and so on. At a later time, I'm going to go through how to work with PostgreSQL and PostGIS for those of you who are learning about that. But I'm not going to do that today because that's a whole kind of topic in itself. I'm going to get down here to the ArcGIS REST server, and I'm going to click on that. And you can see I've got a whole bunch of them that I've already added connections to. I'm not going to go through, the particulars of adding them, but it's relatively easy. I'll show you what the main vector data one is. I named it that. That's not a name you're going to find out there. It's just the name I gave it, so I know what it is. If I edit that connection, you can see the URL. This comes right from the Geo Library Board's um, data page. So that'll get you to all of the different uh, vector data, as well as I think the imagery too, that are served up by the state. Most of the stuff you don't even have to set. Uh, on the main data, there's no authentication needed. It's literally just this URL. So it's pretty easy to add these. So when I connect, it's going to go out and get an index of everything. And one of the problems with this, I think it's kind of a problem, I guess, with the main data is there's just so many layers of data. It just goes on and on and on and on. And it's it can be pretty difficult to figure out what you're looking for. Because there's everything in here, wireless coverage map. There's deer wintering areas. There's all sorts of stuff. I don't know why they have all the Survey 123 stuff in here. Um, but a lot of what I use is all starts with the name Maine. We'll go find those. Well, somewhere here. Where did I go? Here we go. So you can see main parcels, parcels organized towns, main state boundary line. What we're going to do is we're going to add the town boundaries and we're going to add polygons. And that's kind of important for what we're going to do in a bit here. You can open that up. And what you want is um, the layer or the entry in here that has a symbol like that. So we don't care about the geocodes or any of that other stuff. We want the town boundaries. Now, if I go ahead and click add, it's going to add all of the whole state. But I don't want to add the entire state. Um, actually, let me use this one right here, the dissolved. It's a little bit cleaner. Main township boundaries, polygons dissolved. If I do that, it's going to add all hundreds and hundreds of towns. But remember, I said we're going to do Washington County. So I'm going to go down here and say add with filter, and it's going to come up with the expression builder. This is something you'll see in QGIS a lot, so good to become familiar with it. And if I go down here, so I'm going to build my filter expression over here on the left, and over here are all sorts of things that I can work with. But the thing I want in particular is to use the column or field that's in that layer called town. So I'm going to go town, and I'm going to say, oh, hold on. Let me go back. So I think I do need to use the other one. Let's do that again. I need that one. Let's try again. Add with filter. There we go. Because I need the county. The dissolved one, I just mixed up which two I wanted. The county one or the non-dissolved one has the county. So I'm going to say county and then type the equal sign, or I can use equal down here. And if I click on, yeah, let's do that. I'm just going to type in here, single quote, Washington, and then click OK. And it's going to go out and just get the Washington County towns, if this all works right. Yeah. So there's our Washington County, the basic thing. Um, Now, first thing you can see, I've got all the water portions of these towns. I'm going to turn those off. And what I'm going to do is uh, simply, I'll leave them still part of the filter, but I'm going to change the symbology of the water parts of those. So right now it's just set up as a single symbol. It's just a filled yellow polygon. That's random, just like in Arc. When you add something, it's just going to come up with some random colors and such. I'm going to change that from a single symbol to categorized. And then I'm going to go get that um, land uh, attribute, and I'm going to classify. If I click this classify, it's going to go get all the values that it finds in the column for land and add them as an entry. So if I click classify, you can see I have N for not land, Y for land, and then all others. Well, I don't care about the all others. And the water, I'm just going to shut off. So I just close those off. The land, I don't really want them that color. I'm just going to, let me slow down here. I double clicked on the little symbol here. There's me double clicking. I know you can't see that. And I'm going to click over here in simple fill. And I'm going to change the fill style to no brush. So it's just going to be empty. Okay. So let's go see what that looks like. See if we're on the right track. It's going to redraw it. That's looking pretty good. Now, the only thing is, I'd like to make a nicer line style for these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click that, or I can open up the properties of the whole layer, either way. And I'm going to change this simple fill to um, outline simple line. And I'm not going to go through all the different kinds of symbology types for polygons. There's quite a few. But what I want to do is use a custom line dash pattern. And so instead of just going with a simple line and, these things, I'm going to do custom dash pattern. So I click on that and I'm going to double click here. And you can see it comes up with this little dash pattern editor. So right now, when I draw these, it's going to make a 5 millimeter dash followed by a 2 millimeter gap. And then it'll just keep repeating that. What I want to do is have, maybe I want a little longer dash. I'll make it say 8. And I also want to have a short one. So we'll have a, say a 3 millimeter dash. Click OK. And I want to fatten that thing up a little bit. So we're going to make that say not 100,000, but 1 millimeter wide. And that's going to be the size that you'll see when you create a final layout. It'll kind of look about that size on the screen, but in the end, it's really what you get in your final output. I don't really like the color, so I'm going to change that. And I tend to like a kind of a purplish, maroon, purplish color like that. So I have different ways I can specify that. I can do CMYK or RGB. I usually just use these and we'll make it a little brighter with the sliders. You can also type stuff in here, or if you have a specific color that you need to use, you can actually put the hexadecimal value right in here. Uh, I do that a lot. Sometimes if I've got a large number of things I want with colors that go together, there are websites out there, or you can use AI to give you a list of colors that kind of go together. Like if you want a whole bunch of pastels, let's say you want 12 different pastel colors. You can literally type into like Grok or ChatGPT, give me a list of 12 pastel colors in hexadecimal uh, RGB format. And it'll give you this list and you can plug them in to your heart's content. So we'll make it that. And let's go take a look at what that looks like. I'm going to zoom in just so you could see a little bit better. Now you see a problem already because I'm drawing a polygon here and a polygon here. The two are interfering with each other. Um, there's a uh, cool way to handle that that also serves another purpose. Sometimes you don't, if you have these gaps, clear gaps over, say like a background, um, sometimes they kind of disappear. So you might want to have them white and maybe a little bit of white shadow around the whole of it. So what I'm going to do is create another um, symbology layer here. I'm going to move it down so it's underneath the first one. And again, I don't want to fill color on that, but I do want to make that white. And so I'm changing the color of the stroke or the pen to white, and I need to make it wider. I think I made the other one 1.0. So now if you look closely, I've got a thicker white line behind the purple line. And we're going to click OK. And now they look perfect, even though they're polygons on top of each other. So that's pretty cool. I learned a long time ago, whether you're using Arc or Microsoft Word or anything, always save frequently. So I'm just going to quick save this. Just so if anything happens, I can come back where I was. Okay, so there's our town. And we've got, again, just Washington County. I'm going to zoom to that layer. We close the messages up here. We don't really need to see those. Now, what I want to add now is are the town names. So let's go back into the properties of this by double clicking. And I'm going to go to the labeler, and I'm going to say single labels. And it came up by default with town. I didn't do that. It came up with town. I want to make that a bit bigger. So let's make it 12 points. and I want it bold. And just out of interest, you can also specify these things in terms of millimeters or pixels, meters at scale, and so on. I tend not to do that. I usually just go with points because I kind, I mean, we all know what 12 point looks like at whatever print scale or size map you're making. So I'm just going to go with that 12 point and call it bold. I can play with the formatting a little bit. I can change the case to all uppercase, and I can space it out a little bit. Let's make it. Uh, we'll get to see what it does. So I space the lettering out a little bit. Let's make it. That looks a little bit better. Uh, and then the other thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to go into all these. There's a lot of different things you can do. But I'm going to go into placement. Around centroid is fine. It's going to, try to position it around there. And one thing I do want to do is force point inside polygon. I don't really want the text to be laying outside of a polygon, which it will do if you let it. Um, and there's a lot of other things to do here. I'm going to go down to rendering because there's another thing I want to do. Down here in overlapping labels, um, this is treating visibility of labels and trying to get them not to collide with each other and so on can be a little bit of an art. And I find I have to experiment quite a bit between the overlapping here and the things in placement. But for this, I'm going to change that to overlap if required. So let's go see what that looks like. And you're going to probably see a bunch of overlap. And you can see there's quite a lot of stuff down here because you've got all these islands and things. So we're going to tweak that a little bit. So I'll go back here, and I think it's under rendering. Um, yeah, right down at the bottom of rendering, there's only draw labels which fit completely within feature. So that should eliminate the islands. There's a couple other techniques that you can use for that, but I really just want to have one label for the main part of of the the town. Now you can see it's only showing ones that actually fit in the polygon, but that's going to be okay. Later on, when we make the map itself, it's not going to matter because it'll be large enough for them to fit. So there we go. You can see they're kind of disappearing, but that's okay. That's just a visual thing right now. Won't bother anything later. I'm going to save. Okay, so I've got my towns and my labels on the towns. Now I want to add another layer, which is going to look really cool, and that's the 3-dep, the USGS 3-dep. Um, I don't want to call it imagery, but it's a 3D model that's hill shaded. So I'm going to connect to that. And just so you can see what that looks like, on the URL here is the elevation.nationalmap.gov, blah, blah, blah. And then finally down to image server, just so you can see. But when I expand that, I'm going to see 3-dep elevation. I'm going to add that. Because that's in a different coordinate system, it's going to ask me. I just accept the default. It'll be fine that way. Close. We don't care about that. That's just a little warning message. Now that came out on top, and I don't want it on top. I want that on the bottom, so I'm just going to drag it below. And why is that not drawing? Um, hmm, that's interesting. I find that sometimes, different times of the day, some of these services get really, really bogged down with people hitting them. So I'm not sure if that's the situation going on here right now, but normally I would see it loading that, and that's kind of frustrating. It would do that right now. during a demonstration. But we'll come back to that. We'll just leave that there. I'm going to close that up or save that. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add uh, the main wetlands, and I'm going to do that. I actually have downloaded that. You can go grab that, like NWI's, the National Wetlands Inventory, but I've already got it downloaded, so I'm gonna use the one I already have. Let me cancel that so I can go back here, and I'm gonna use the vector data. I can't remember. Okay, I've got that as a geo package. So I'm gonna go to my data. Um, it's here somewhere. NWI. Main wetlands geopackage. I think that's the one. I'm going to add that. Now, when I go to add that, it has multiple layers inside of the geopackage, which is kind of a neat thing that geopackage can do. I don't care about the outline of the state, but I do care about the main wetlands themselves, and I don't care about these other things. So I'm just going to get the main wetlands, add layers, and then close. You can see the color is pretty awful there. Plus, it's also showing not just the open waters like lakes and rivers and ponds, but it's also showing the actual wetlands. So I want to filter that. So I'm going to right click over here and choose filter, or I can do it through the properties, either way. And I'm going to filter on the wetland type. So I'm going to double click that, add it down here. And there are multiple wetland types that I care about. So I'm going to say wetland type in, and then an open parentheses. And if I click on wetland type and choose sample, uh, it's going to go find the different kinds. So I'm going to want freshwater pond, and I need a comma, lake, comma, and riverine. So those will be the kinds that I care about. And we'll click OK. So that removes a lot of unnecessary noise. Um, and I definitely want to change that from blood red to something else here. So again, I go into the symbology, choose simple fill, and I'm going to change that to, no, I'm going to leave that simple fill, but I am going to change that color to sort of a pond color. I think I want to make it a little bit darker, a little bit more blue like that. That looks good to me. Maybe not to you, but should look good to me. And I want the outline to be dark blue, just for highlight purposes. And then the other little trick here I'm going to show you is I'm going to go to these draw effects, and there's some cool things you can do in here. Certainly we want the source, but we also want to do an inner glow. And you can see if you look closely, it's made kind of a light shadow inside. And I can actually play with that a little bit. Um, I gotta select it. That helps. And I'm gonna make that spread a little bit more. So 4. You can see it made it a little bit bigger. Well, let's go 5. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, there we go. Uh, and then I'm gonna click OK. And I'm gonna click OK. It's gonna make kind of cool looking lakes and stuff. I think that looks pretty nice. So that's good. Now we're gonna have a problem because if I zoom out here, you can see that we're going to have stuff all outside of Washington County. And when I make my final map, I don't really want all that stuff. So what I want to do is is be able to mask out everything outside of the towns. So the way I can do that is I can duplicate the towns. I'm going to leave that down here, but I'm going to change the symbology altogether. So I'm opening up the properties. I'm going to go back to a single symbol. I don't really care what it's going to be here because I'm going to totally change this to, oops, excuse me, I said single symbol, but I should have gone to inverted polygons. And I'm going to change this thing to white. This is a quick and dirty way to mask out everything that you don't want to see. Works pretty good. You can also, of course, go through layer processing to clip and all that stuff. Whatever floats your boat is fine. But this is a pretty neat way to do it without having to go through all that process. So I'm going to say OK. I don't really, we don't want any lines. And I'm going to say OK. Let's see if it does the trick. It should. There we go. See, it masked everything out outside. So go back in here. So we're getting there. And time-wise, we're good too. So now I want to add 911 roads, which in this case, I have 911 roads, but they're in a geodatabase. I've saved them out previously. So I'm going to change this to directory because if you have it on file, you can go to that directory, but it's going to treat everything as a file. It's not going to treat it as a file geodatabase. So you need to put it on directory to work with file geodatabases. So I click that, go back up here, and I've got one E911 AGOL. I'm going to open that up. You can see there's a bunch of files in there. I don't want to open the file. I want to open the .gdb. Now, just in case not aware of this, but a file geodatabase is actually a directory and file structure. There is no database per se. It's literally a directory with the name ending in .gdb. And then it's got a whole bunch of files inside. So we need to add the directory when we do this. So we're going to click OK. And we're going to click, you can see the name of that directory is here in the middle. I'm going to click add. Now it's going to ask me what layers in that file geodatabase that I want. And the only ones I care about are the roads. So we're going to click that, add layers, and close. Now you can see we've got some thin lines through here. We really want to make those nice looking lines for our more readable map that we're going to make. So I'm going to go in here in the properties and I'm going to change that symbology. And the way I'm going to do that, first off, I'm going to make a thick, uh, much thicker black line. So call, I don't know, I'm guessing 1.2 millimeters. And I'm going to make that black. And you're going to see, I'm going to make a kind of an interesting effect here. So right now it's just a big black line. If I click apply, you'll see they've changed all the black lines. Well, that's not really very uh, attractive looking symbology, although if you don't care, maybe it's fine. So I'm going to add another one. So another simple line on top of that. And that line, I'm going to make that white. And I'm going to make that a little bit smaller, 1.0. Yeah, I'm probably going to need to make this a little bit thicker. So let's go 1.4. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. And actually, I'm going to change that to red. Let's make that outline red and click OK. Now, there's a little bit of a problem here because as you see, if you can look closely, because this is all different lines, they're kind of crowding each other and we're not getting clean intersections. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this same thing and duplicate it. There may be a better way to do this particular thing. I'm not saying this is the best way to do it. It's just how I do it. With this time, I'm just going to leave the white line on top, and I'm going to remove the the line that's behind it. So I just have white line. And now if it redraw, hey, why are we not redrawing? Oh, I know why. I think I know why. No, I don't know why. Oh, I accidentally turned this off. That's why. So now you see I have clean intersections. That's really just a bit of sorcery there. Um, it's nothing special. It's just I'm drawing white lines on top of the red lines. In fact, I could remove the white line from here because I don't really need it now. What I've done is I've changed the order so all the red gets drawn first and then the white thinner line gets drawn on top of that. So I get nice looking roads here. So let's zoom back out. So again, we've got a lot of stuff out here. Um, the reason the roads outside here are shown is because they're the mask that I made is below them. So I have two choices here. I can either move this mask up or I can change the filter. Let's do it here. Let's right click and filter. I can change the filter on the road class. Where is it? It's here somewhere. There it is, road class. And I'm going to do the in thing again, in, and I'm going to get samples because I can't remember them. And I want local, comma, primary, comma, secondary, comma. Also want the privates. I don't care about trails and stuff. So that ought to do it. And then I got to close it with a closing parentheses. And before I do anything here, I'm going to copy this because I'm going to need to apply it to the other one as well. Now, if I had been smart, I would have done that first time around. Oops. Keep doing that. Just go filter, add that back in here, click OK. So that's cleared out a lot of garbage that I don't care about, but I still have the lines, road lines that are outside. So I'm going to go in the filter again. And bear with me, this is a little bit boring. And I'm going to say and then go to, well, I'm going to have to do parentheses. And I want to get the counties. Unfortunately, the county, there's a town um, somewhere here. There's town, but they don't have, uh, see, they have town, but they don't have just county, which I don't understand. They have a left county and right county. So I'm going to say left county equals Washington. I'm just going to type it in. I could get a sample, but or Wright County equals, I'm going to copy and paste that. So I don't type it in and type it in wrong. That should be good. I'm going to copy that for the other one. So I've got the right road classes. It has to be these road classes and it has to be in Washington County. And click OK. So the white, I did that on the red one, not the white one. I'm going to do it on the white one as well. And change all that. Okay. It's not going to make any difference visually, but it'll cut down on the number of features that we're drawing. Okay, so now we've kind of got our base map. Oh, just for fun, I'm going to see if the 3-dep is going to come up. I don't know what's going on with that. It does, yeah. Well, you'll have to trust me. Normally it does work, but I do find both with the USGS and with the state servers, sometimes they just get overloaded and they don't respond quickly or sometimes at all. So now I want to add my boat launches. So I've already created um, I've already downloaded them. I got to go up. I don't want that. And actually, I put them in a different place. I put them in my samples. And I pulled this down from from the Geo library and just I didn't need to do it. I could have got it as a shape file or some other format, but I just wanted to show you that we can also use KMLs. Um, QGIS can handle lots of different formats, but so you might have something that you built in Google Earth or Google Maps, and you've got it in KML or KMZ format. You can work with those just as well. So I'm going to use that one, and I'm going to add that. It's again, KMLs can have kind of different layers in them. That's the one I want. Add layers, close. And so we can hardly see those. There's little points right here. So I'm going to show you how to take those point features and make some pretty cool symbology out of them. Now, again, here I'm on the layer symbology, and I'm going to categorize because I like kayaking, and the places I like to kayak are places where motorboats can't get to. So I like to see where the hand launch um, sites are, um, so that I can focus on those. Doesn't mean I won't go to other places, but anyway, so I'm going to categorize it. And right now, I want to go to type. And I want to classify. Now, it already had classified it, started a classification, says was changed from ID to type, and I don't want that ID one, so I'll just say yes, delete them. And there we go. I don't care about this, all other values. I'm not sure what the LF is. All I care about are the hand carry, which is CI, and the trailer, I guess it is. So we can change this so it's hand carry. Change this one to trailer, I guess. And we can apply that. Maybe see some down here. Well, some down, there are some down in here. But I don't really like those symbols, and I could make them bigger and whatnot. But I really want to make them, pretty cool looking, something better than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make an SVG marker. So SVG is a scalable vector graphic, and it's kind of like what Adobe uses. I don't know if you remember PostScript and whatnot, but it's a vector graphic as opposed to a raster graphic like a PNG or JPEG or whatnot. So I'm going to change this from simple marker to an SVG marker. And if I go down here, QGIS comes with a whole bunch of them already loaded. Um, and I don't know, there may be something suitable in here. There's a guy skiing, cross-country skiing. There's all kinds of stuff. But I've gone and actually found some SVG symbols that I really like. And I can go ahead. I've downloaded them off of a couple websites that I found them on, and I download them. It's really important that they be downloaded in SVG format. Some of the websites, if you query on, maybe you want I don't know, ski lift SVG symbol. Well, the Google will show you a whole bunch of things that look great, but when you go to get them, you find out that they're not actually SVGs. They'll come down as PNGs or as JPEGs and whatnot. So it's kind of important you pay attention to what they are. So I'm doing the hand carry, which I found somebody named Scott DeLong who made some free map icons in SVG format specifically. and he's got a nice canoe one. So I'm going to use that guy. And one thing I definitely want to do here is scale that thing up because it's not going to be anywhere close to legible at that size, being 2 millimeters by 2 millimeters. So I've made it 8. So there's my little canoeing person. Um, and I'm going to click OK. Let's do similar thing to the trailer one. I'm going to go change that from simple marker to SVG marker so I can get my really nice graphic. Again, it's one I found out there. It didn't take me long to find these. And you can find just about anything, and if you get the right program, you can create your own SVGs. The nice thing about SVG is they scale nicely. So you could make one symbol be, I don't know how big your plotter is. You get a 48-inch plotter, you could make on one symbol that scales up to 48 inches wide and it would still look good. Whereas if you took a PNG and you scaled it up, it's going to look kind of not good when you do that. So here's my boat. I'm going to click apply and you can see here's a canoe guy, there's a boat launch. Now, that's nice. I mean, that's pretty good right there, but let's make them stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to go over here, go to the canoe guy, and I want to put a background on this, a circle. Again, that needs to be below. So I click on the little arrow to shove it down to below. And I'm going to make that bigger so it fits around the symbol. And obviously I don't want that color. Um, Oh, let's see what would be a good color. Let's make it. No, that might be too yucky. We'll make it yellow. Doesn't matter. We make it whatever we want. And of course, we can make that stroke width a little bit bigger. I don't know. There we go. 0.4 millimeters. I got to remember that because I want to make the other one do the similar kind of thing for the trailer launch. So I'm going to go and change this guy. I'm going to do the same sort of thing. Um, 12 millimeters. Oops, I got to put that down below. Um, this is going to look kind of goofy if red dot. So I'm going to change that to a square. And obviously I don't want that red. So let's make that well, we used yellow already, so let's make it green and a little bit brighter green, I guess. Click OK. And oh, we made the hairline. We made that 0. Was it 2 or 4? Now I forgot. I think it was 4. 0.4 millimeters.
Hey, Mike,
Okay. Yeah.
can you save a color, a custom color? Like
To
you've just
save
chosen
the color itself or the symbol.
the color. So like when you chose the green or the yellow for those symbols, could you have it looked like there were slots maybe to save custom colors.
There is a way to do that. You can set up like for water bodies. I have one set up um, where I've actually saved that symbology. Where did you see that? Because I
I think it was when you had clicked on fill
in
color.
here.
So like down the bottom.
Oh, you know what? Probably. I've never done that.
Okay.
So yeah, you can. So it's kind of a set of favorites, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, you could do that. Yeah, that's a good question. So there's my basic map. Um, oh, one thing I didn't do, I really ought to do, is add some labels, what the name of, or at least the location of those are. So I'm just going to go label, name, text. Let's make that Times New Roman. A now let's go bold italic. Maybe not as big as the that. And let's change the color to a darker blue. And placement. rendering. Let's, if required. I almost always want to do that. Click OK. And why am I not seeing those? Oh, uh, hmm. It might be because of clashing with other things. Let's turn off features as obstacles, see if that takes care of it. Wow, what is going on here? Huh, I'm drawing a blank why those aren't showing up. So they certainly should be. It's got to show labels. Huh. I'm not sure why we're not seeing those because they definitely should be there. And it's called the demo effect. You know, you can do this all day long and never have a problem. Then you go to demonstrate it and something weird happens like that. So anyway, just for the last thing, I'm just going to make a an actual um, an actual map of these. Oh, one thing I want to do is I want to shove these down below my mask so I don't see the ones outside so much. And I'm going to make a new print layout under the project menu. And I call it boat launch map, something like that. I'm going to move this over so that you can see it popped up on my other screen. And the first thing I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to click on my page here and I'm going to change the size of that. And I'm going to make it Arch D, so it's 24 by 36. And because of the shape of, the orientation of the of that county, I want to go portrait. And now I'm going to zoom out there so we can see the whole thing. I'm going to add my map and I'll just roughly put it in here, but you can put these in exactly like if you want a half-inch boundary around all the way around your map part, you can actually put that in accordingly. You can put it in here, position and size, width, and so on. Now, obviously, that's not really quite where I want it. There's a little button here for this map. You got to have map selected. There's a little button right here that will let you move and size that thing. I find sometimes to size it properly, sometimes it's easier to do it by changing the scale. Let's see, now it's a little big. I make that was the 50,000. See if that looks right. Of course, it's trying to draw quite a lot of stuff right now, so there's a little bit of lag going on here. Yeah, it looks like that's not enough. Try 180. We'll call it good. We could sit here and play and tweak it all we want all day long. Sometimes I find I spend quite a bit of time just playing with stuff, trying to get the just the right look for something. Well, actually, that's actually not too bad right there. I made that 180,000. And I can add all kinds of stuff. I can add north arrow. Oh, I'll show you on the north arrow. I'm going to put a north arrow in here. I find the north arrows that they give you um, are really pretty terrible. So I went and bought a north arrow in SVG format. And I got to go find that. It's in, oh, where's my north arrow? Okay. Well, I can't remember where I put that thing. But I have a better north arrow that I like to use. And finally, when I'm all done putting my scale bar and all that stuff on, I'll I'll export that thing as a PDF right here and save. Always export as vectors is important, so that it scales nicely and prints nicely. If you send it to a printer, they'll want it that way. And save, and it go out and do it. Now I did this earlier, and so I can show you. Oops, I gotta go up here. I can show you a nice one that I made. There, and this one I'm kind of zoomed in here, but you can see I have the three depth elevation on it. It kind of adds quite a lot. My symbols are a little bit different than the ones I just did, but you can see the roads and whatnot and the names. For whatever reason, they do have names and they did come up before. I don't know why they didn't. So anyway, that's everything I wanted to cover. Um, I know we're right at almost 1 o'clock. Is there anything anybody has a question about or something you'd like to see next time?
Mike, just a quick question. If you spent a whole lot of time on like the roads and setting that up, if you want to save that as a layer file in QGIS, is that export and then you go in, is it the layer definition file? Is that how you do that in QGIS?
Yeah. Of course, this thing's still trying to write that PDF.
Yeah.
But yes, you can save a layer file of that symbology. You can also, if you have two similar kind of layers and you set all the symbology on one of them and you say, oh, I don't want to go through doing all the same thing for the other layer, what you can do is you can right click on that layer on the left hand side. I don't know if I can stop this. You can right click on it and it'll have a menu that pops up, and one of the items is styles. And you can go in that and do copy style. And you can copy all kinds of things, but maybe the layer, the feature style and the labeling, you might want to copy just those, or you can copy all of them, whatever. And then you can go to the other layer, right click on that one and paste those styles. So that's really handy. I use that a lot.
I was watching a webinar. It's ending. That's
So
no problem.
that answer your question, Steve?
And
Yes, you
I
absolutely
just
can. And you can, just like in Arc, you can also save the layer definition and the symbology together as well. So that um, yeah, that thing's still going. So that later, you're making another map. Like I've got the roads all set up and whatnot. I can just add it to my other map, and it'll all be done. The data and the symbology together.
I had a lot of those pre-saved layers for, it's like I'm always putting roads in and I always want the roads formatted the same way. Just make a layer file and then you just add it
Yeah,
and you don't have to reformat it every single time. So
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, any other questions before we knock off here?
Mike, I
Yeah,
was wondering, did the the 3D elevation have like a range of visible range filter on it?
No,
No.
not that I've ever seen it. I'm not sure exactly how they do that. I think I think it just takes whatever you can see, whatever's visible in your view, and it just stretches it from whatever the low is to the high or something like that. I'm not sure how that works. It just always seems to be good. If you go to the National Map Viewer, you can see they also they have another version of it, of that hillshade that's got more contrast. Um, Unfortunately, I've never been able to find that. Obviously, it exists, but I don't know what the URL is for that particular one. So they have a bunch of different products. There's the digital elevation model itself. You can get the original product. I think it's called OPM. You can get the raw LiDAR. There's all sorts of stuff that they've got in there. They even have an imagery, an ortho imagery layer, which sometimes I'll use that if for some reason the state's server is not working. So I'll just switch over and use the USGS one, which is great. It doesn't meet quite the same specs what the state has, in terms of leaf off and whatnot. So, but in a pinch, it's better than nothing.
Mike, I
Mike,
think, sorry.
um, have you gotten the Vexel imagery to work in QGIS?
No, I haven't. Is there a particular problem with that?
Um, in ArcMap or ArcGIS Pro, you can add it by URL link, but in QGIS, I was trying to get it to work and in Connect and ran into some problems.
Does it?
I don't know
It
if
doesn't
anybody
have
else
a.
has gotten it. No, it
Um,
doesn't display, but it gives I think it adds it to the uh whatever you call it in QGIS, the table of contents. But
yeah,
it's just uh it doesn't um display any of the imagery.
I don't know.
And
If do you want to send me that URL and I'll play with it sometime?
sure.
I don't know if you know what my email address is. I can send it in the chat here.
All right.
I'm gonna I guess I'm gonna stop the sharing so I can do this. So go to chat. Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. And there's my email address right in there. Um,
Thank you.
okay. So LF stands for landing facility, no launching facility. So you can land, but not. Oh, so it means like a dock,
Float, yeah, it has
a
a float
float
with
or a
no
dock or something.
launch.
I didn't know that. Learn something every day. And I see you put the forum address in there as well. That's great. Um, any other questions before we sign off? Well, if not, I appreciate you showing up and I hope you got something out of it. And, by all means, if you've got any particular subjects that you'd like addressed, shoot me an email or send it to the MEGUG board at gmail.com. And we'll try to get it in on the next meeting. And you're always welcome to contact me if you've got any particular question that you need more immediately, and uh, you're stumped on something. Test my knowledge. If I don't know, I'll see if somebody else knows. So, and you can always post questions on the forum as well. All right.
Thank you,
All
Mike.
right.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks, Mike.
Hopefully see you next month.